Hello there, you're watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel. This afternoon, the NDC General Secretary Fifi Kwetey is envisioning a youthful candidate, potentially a woman from a swing region, as John Dramani Mahama's likely running mate.
Many young people as possible, because you can't win an election in Ghana unless you get a lot of the young people with you. You want to win as many women as possible, because once you have the women on your side, trust me, you are home. So you want to make sure you are appealing to women. And naturally, you are appealing to women, you are appealing to the family.
So we're asking that question, who potentially is that young woman that the General Secretary is referring to? We have more on this in this exclusive interview with my colleague Kojo Yankson, coming up here on The Pulse. The 14th edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is kicking off today with excitement at the Accra International Conference Centre. Already, as you can see, exhibitors are looking forward to an amazing experience this year. We'll get you the very latest from that venue, and we have these and more coming your way here on The Pulse. The Pulse is always brought to you by Global Communities Digni Lu, affordable safe sanitation for all, in DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, on Facebook, YouTube, and also myjoyonline.com. I'm blessed so that Joy News is independent, fearless, and credible. We'll talk about the NDC shortly. Please stay with us. We are indeed your election headquarters, a youthful person from one of the swing regions, possibly a woman who knows how to play her position. This is the description given by the NDC's General Secretary, Fifi Kwetey, of the kind of person most likely to emerge as John Dramani Mahama's running mate. In an exclusive conversation with Joy SMS host Kojo Yankson, the opposition party bigwig gave a detailed description of the qualities the National Democratic Congress would expect to see in a person selected to join flagbearer John Dramani Mahama on the ticket for the election 2024. This and other issues were part of that conversation with Kojo. Here I exit.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition. We are live from a location here in Accra, and our guest is the General Secretary of the NDC. Mr. Fifi Kwetey, what a pleasure.
I'm happy to be with you, Kojo. Greetings to all your many viewers across the country and beyond.
Thank you. Now, of course, this conversation is quite timely. We've just had the budget read, and you used to be Deputy Finance Minister, so I know you pay special attention to events like the reading of the budget. This is the very final budget for Ken Ofori-Atta, final annual budget for Ken Ofori-Atta. And he says we've turned the corner. He says it's the Nkunim budget, and he goes ahead to announce several cuts, to taxes, reductions in some taxes, and explains that these are all to reignite the economy. What are your thoughts?
I would just say that's a bit. It's really unfortunate for the country that I remember in 2010, as Deputy Finance Minister, everywhere you went in the world, I mean, it was a country that has so much promise. We were just basically entering into the oil era, and everybody saw this country as a real shining beacon that was actually giving promise to the world. We went through that period all the way to, let's see, 2013. In 2013, especially as a result of single spine salary, which we had just finished in the year 2012, the arrears became a difficulty. And so that really was the beginning of the difficulties we had from 2013. In spite of all those difficulties, we still had an economy that you call, in terms of rating, was at least a minimum of a B minus. You had foreign investors that still had a lot of confidence in us. despite the difficulties that doom saw itself brought about. We were finishing 2016 still with an economy, even though our friends came into office, created the impression it was such a bad economy. In truth, it was an economy that anyone would be happy to inherit. Why? Because the foundations were strong enough for you to be able to accelerate.
We're still in the IMF.
That's true. That's true. But we're talking about an economy that even as at the close of 2016, the IMF, the World Bank, and all other international financial bodies knew was going to grow a minimum of 8%. Why? Because of the work that had been done ahead of it. We're talking about an economy that at the close of 2016, even in terms of CD depreciation, maximum 9.6% depreciation of the currency. We're talking about, even though growth was just about 3.4, as I said, the foundations was already present to lead to a growth of 8% the following year, and also close to 8% the year after, because of those, shall I call it, legacy of infrastructure that had left. Now, to see us just within a matter of a few years reach a level where we have become what you call a junk economy, in spite of the fact that over the period 2017 up to the year 2020, the resources that were available to us, not only in terms of the oil resources, in terms of tax resources, in terms of even borrowing that was available to us, we shouldn't be in the position in which we are today. A position where virtually all hope is gone. The economy has become so down that virtually all portfolio investors literally have no interest.
Are you not ignoring the two big issues, COVID and Ukraine? You didn't have to worry about such external factors when you were in office.
It's true. Because the resources that we got access to during COVID, I mean, because let me tell you, between 2009, when Prof. Mills took over, all the way to 2016, when John Mahama exited, the total borrowing we had, because we took borrowing almost at 10 billion, and ended about 120 billion. So it's about 110 billion of borrowing within that space of 8 years. Within just a few months of COVID, let's say between July to December of 2020, the resources that came through as a result of COVID alone was amounting to in the region of at least 40 billion. I'm talking about 8 years, 110 billion cedis. And within just 4 months, you are getting access to what? That's almost half of what we had for 8 years. You have no reason to complain. And in spite of that massive resource envelope, you still got a deficit, the highest in our history, about 15% plus deficit. You had a growth that was doing less than 1% growth. You had an economy that was so bad that it literally brought about inflation and all the problem. Debt became so high that we could no more manage. So you can't use COVID as an excuse. You can't use Russia and Ukraine as an excuse. So I'm saying that this budget, for me, hearing the finance minister talk about victory, I can only tell you that it's sad what this country has been reduced to. Because, I know it's all sometimes about politics. We need to maybe create the impression that things are better than they ought to be. But how can you actually seriously talk about victory when you supervise inflation to the point where inflation has reached 50%, and simply because you have seen inflation inch down, you think there is victory? How could that be victory?
It's the right direction. That's what they would say.
How could that be victory, Kojo? Because the truth is this, that no matter who is in power today, if you are no more servicing debts, inflation naturally will inch down because there's no pressure on you. All the money that normally you would have used to be able to pay your debt, that literally had been, you have a moratorium. So you don't have pressure. So inflation inching down is nothing to write home about. It's just a normal thing that must happen. But the question is, why on earth should we even reach that level in the first place? For us to even be talking about inflation now should be something that we celebrate. So I just feel really very sad for this country when I see exactly what has now become just nothing but anything just for politics. Because I would have been expecting the finance minister, the vice president Baumia, the president, if anything at all, they should be super remorseful. They should be penitent. They should constantly be pleading with the people of Ghana to forgive them for supervising this absolute abysmal situation that the country has been plunged into. The loss of hope in terms of our young people, the destruction of the personal finances of even people who have worked hard and now are pensioned. I mean, the unemployment situation, the whole despair is not something that anyone should boast about. But we are talking about people who feel this game is all about politics. Let me throw about some words, hoping that may help me again to win politics. And politics is exactly why this whole thing happened. Because all this problem I just narrated, one thing brought it about: the desperation to win in 2020, regardless of consequences. All that talk about Ukraine and Russia is just a lie. It was simply political desperation. So, for example, all these COVID funds, the Auditor General's report will tell you exactly what it was. It was basically thrown about as confetti, given to party apparatchiks, and just basically used around for pure political purposes. And at the end of the day, the people of Ghana are paying for it. You do all this free water and free electricity. You turn around immediately after you win power to slap what you call taxes on the people, COVID days and just to take back, to inflict pain on the people. Then you expect the people of Ghana to be excited because you have brought inflation down from 50 to 30 something. That's nothing the people of Ghana should be happy about. So, for me, the whole budget is just a typical MPP for you. A group that has simply become so, shall I call it, so impervious to the pain on the people, that as far as they are concerned, listen, just keep spinning, hoping that somehow you can deceive the people. And it's sad.
There's a sense of deja vu about something you said. You talked about how you would expect the president, the finance minister, the vice president to be penitent.
Yeah.
You would expect them to be, apologizing
Absolutely.
to the people. It's just a sense of deja vu about it, because in the last year of President Mahama's tenure, this is exactly what the opposition was saying.
Okay.
That President Mahama and his ministers, including you, should be apologizing to the people of Ghana for bringing about doomsday and all the conditions that had led us to the IMF at the time and the hardships that Ghanaians were facing. Of course, at that time, we hadn't experienced what we're experiencing today. So at the time, they were calling for penitence from you. They didn't get it.
I see. I disagree because President Mahama was by no means perfect. I wouldn't say that we were infallible. But let's take the issues one after the other. Let's take, for example, doomsday. The fact of the matter, doomsday was never caused by the NDC. Doomsday, as you know, would have happened during Rawlings's time, happened during Kufuor's time, and started during Prof. Mills' time. So it is something that happened, is cyclical. What made it worse during President Mahama's time is that it was happening at the time that it was not just the water that was at the lowest level, and therefore Akosombo hardly could give us anything. It was also happening with the same time with the breakdown in the pipeline that was coming from Nigeria. And so it was literally force majeure. But what did President Mahama do? He actually was not even, he didn't even try to even blame somebody for doing so. He didn't go about blaming NPP for not investing enough in the 8 years of President Kufuor. He didn't do that. He just took responsibility and said, you know what, I'll fix it. And exactly that's what he did. He focused on it and ensured that the job got done. When the issue happened about the economic difficulty, he was humble enough to call for an economic forum. Invited even the opposition, invited everybody. That's what humility in office does. That's not the act of an arrogant person, as opposed to what we have seen from our friends We're in the middle of this crisis. They still were being so boastful, so arrogant, made declarations that, listen, we will never go to the IMF. We are capable of managing the affairs of Ghana. We are a proud nation. I mean, that is simply the mark of a group of people who actually believe that they are what you call the gift of God to Ghana. So it's a completely different situation between Mahama or the NDC and our friends in power.
I have to say, I mean, in spite of everything you've said so far, I'm yet to hear any alternatives to what we heard from the finance minister in Parliament. I mean, if the NDC were in office, what would your plans have been for 2024? How would you be planning to turn things around for Ghanaians to make Nkunim a truthful tag for the budget?
You know, the issue about the alternatives, I mean, is very legitimate request. And you clearly also know that even though we haven't really reached the stage where we are prepared to put out what you call a comprehensive body of proposals in place, one thing you can be sure is when you take over an economy and you supervise that economy into a state of collapse, the first thing you need to appreciate is that, listen, you met the economy at a certain level. The least you could do was to have maintained that. Now, what were the levels that they made this economy? You made, for example, cocoa production at the end of 2016. It was what? 960,000 metric tons. That's almost 1 million metric tons. The second highest in the recent history of the country. The first was 2011, where we got about 1 million metric tons. In 2016, we got 960,000 metric tons. I mean, that's massive. You're talking about alternative, that's a good alternative. You want to make sure you at least restore us to the place where cocoa production is solid. You will make a balance of payment, surplus. At the time we took over in 2008, it was a massive deficit we met. We handed you a balance of payment surplus. Alternative, that's a good alternative. Make sure you come back to at least that minimum. You know, you made what you call gross international reserves of $6.2 billion. The least you can do is to at least ensure that that remains. Now, so alternatives are good, and we'll definitely have that conversation. But the least you can do is to at least preserve what you have met, not to have destroyed the economy further.
We're talking to Fifi Kwetey, and we've heard what he thinks about the budget that was read earlier last week. But here's what we're going to do when we come back. First of all, we're going to talk about the upcoming race. John Mahama will be squaring off against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and any other takers. We'll see exactly how the NDC in opposition is gearing up for that race. But also, you must have seen that video making the rounds. Someone has revived it from the past. Fifi Kwetey saying some very interesting things about the chances of Dr. Bawumia ever becoming NPP flagbearer. We'll hear from his own mouth how he sees those words today. Stay with us. We'll be back after these. Welcome back. This is a special edition, and we're having a conversation with Fifi Kwetey, of course, the General Secretary of the nation's biggest opposition party, the NDC. So far, we've talked about the budget and the economy. But I can't have a conversation with you without bringing up what seems to be making the rounds recently. So I don't recall the year, but I think it was during one of your Setting the Record Straight events. You made some very interesting comments. In fact, you said that if Dr. Bawumia was expecting that, assuming they were to win power,
No, not at all. I mean, congratulations to him for emerging as the flagbearer of the NPP. We say that we in the NDC welcome it because we are not being complacent, but we are totally sure that we are facing a damaged candidate, a candidate that has been exposed for who he is, a candidate who made all kinds of pretenses, created the impression that he was some kind of economic messiah. But the reality today that he's been, as the Bible will call, he's been found wanting. He's been weighed in the balances and found wanting completely. Worse than that, not just that he's been exposed for just being, shall I call it, blabbermouth, somebody who basically talks a lot but does very little. He's also been shown to be somebody who cannot be trusted, somebody who has gotten very low levels of credibility. Now, so meeting him in the 2024 essentially we welcome. Now, am I surprised that he emerged as a candidate of the NPP? I would say no. I'm not really surprised because the person who obviously would have, let's say it this way, the person who actually would have been the one to take over from Nana Akufo-Addo from the readings, and if you understand the NPP's working configuration very well, was supposed to be Alan Chomate. It moved from Kufuor to Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana Akufo-Addo contested Kufuor then, and then Akufo-Addo took over from Kufuor. Lancho Martin contested Akufo-Addo. It was pretty obvious from the reading at the time we were reading that the next person in line was going to be Lancho Martin, knowing the tradition of the NPP as we did. So what we said at the time was something that we believed was the case. And we still believe that if Lancho Martin had remained in the race, possibly it could have been a different ball game. But as it were, he pulled out. And naturally, once he pulls out, he gives some kind of advantage to Dr. Bawumia. And but even so, you can see even the struggle that he had against a candidate who, as at a year ago, did not even have in mind to run for the presidency. Against, let's call it, and it's my very good friend, Ken Ajapong. But to be honest with you, he is not what you call somebody that, in the scheme of things, should be giving Bawumia a tough run.
But either way,
managed to still give him such a tough run.
Either way, you were proved categorically wrong. I mean, you accused your political opponents of being not only ethnocentric but religious bigots, that they would never choose a Muslim as a flag bearer. They've done exactly that.
Okay, let's say it this way. You know, you can sometimes try very hard to prove your opponent wrong. And in the process, it almost amounts to cutting your nose to spite your face. NPP has done that. This is not the first time. NPP's effort to, for example, push through all these 1D1Fs that they spoke about a lot from 2017. It's largely because we had called them out again and again and said, you were just lying to the people of Ghana. You do not even have the resources to be able to get this done. The kind of things you are putting out, you are simply doing it for political purposes, to deceive people for votes. Naturally, having accused them, what they want to do is to say, no, we're going to go all out to prove them wrong. Not so much because they believe in it, but they want to simply prove their opponent wrong, which is fine. At the end of the day, what matters is the manner in which you are able to really do it. It's something you are not really committed to. When you do it badly. And that, for example, is what we have seen, for example, in the implementation of the free SHS, which also was one of the things we call it. They say you are lying to the people of Ghana. You do not have what it takes to be able to do this in the format in which you claim you want to do it. Down the years, every single person who follows, for example, what's going on with that free SHS know that what we said has come true. because everyone knows, for example, that there is the need for a serious review, because the implementation, the way it's going, will literally amount to just destroying education and causing harm to the future of our children. So there are instances where, as in politics, you want to prove your opponent wrong, not because necessarily you believe in something. I need to prove them wrong. They've put a tag on me that I'm an Akan party. I've constantly looked down upon the people from the north. I do not respect them. So you know what I'm going to do something to prove them wrong.
Makes you
that's
even
okay.
say
in
that?
politics,
Because,
that's happened.
I mean, they've had running mates from the northern part of the country. They have a whole 1/3 of their tradition, which is from the northern part of the country. So what exactly is it that leads you and others? Let's be fair, you're not the only one who has this view. What is it that leads you and others to tag them so firmly as anti-northern?
You know what? If you observe our friends very carefully, you know clearly well that they've constantly picked northern candidates, or even if you call it Muslim candidate, not so much on the back. I would say that really until possibly the choice of Bawumia, the choice of Aliyu Mahama. Listen. They didn't pick Aliyu Mahama because he was some kind of political stalwart. No. If they're looking for political stalwart, there were political stalwart in the north that they could have picked, who were known politically, who got what you call solid pedigree. Like, for example, when we chose Mohamed Momoni for running mate in 2004, that was a political stalwart we were picking. We're not picking somebody on the back of the fact that he's come from the northern region or he's a Muslim. No. Because when you hear Mohamed Momoni, the first thing that comes to mind is that this is a solid political heavyweight. Has got name recognition. Has contributed politically in the country and known in parliament and outside of parliament. Now, when you go and pick Aliyu Mahama, who even within the party was barely known, it's pretty obvious what the game plan is. And we saw it coming. And that's what we were able to predict, for example, that there was no way he was even going to make a dent when they went for their primaries in, was it 2000, was in which year was that, 2006 or so. We knew he was going nowhere. Why? Because he was not picked because he was a stalwart. He was picked purely for purposes of what you call tokenism.
But clearly,
tokenism, so that we can say that, you know, people of the north and our Muslim brothers, we've been able to pick one of you. That comes from a condescending attitude, as opposed to us. When, for example, we pick a John Mahama, we're not picking a John Mahama because he's a northerner. We are picking a political heavyweight who also happened to be a northerner. When we pick Mohamed Momoni, we are not picking him because he's a Muslim or a northerner. We are picking somebody who already is established politically. Before secondary, or let's call it the icing of the cake, happen to be where he comes from or what religion he practices. Our friends, because traditionally have always been known as very heavily, should I call it, move towards one particular side of the country. That was haunting them.
There are some who would argue that you've done the same thing. I mean, John Mahama picked Professor Nana Jenu Pukwajiman as running mate. I mean,
that was a minister of state.
Yes.
And no mean a position, Minister for Education.
Dr. Bawumia was vice president.
No, I'm trying to build the case. You're telling me about what statement that had been made previously. And I'm trying to explain to you that in the choices in the past, especially up to Aliyu Mahama, were purely for token purposes. They pick somebody from the north, also additionally a Muslim, so that they will be able to use it to tell the northern brothers and our Muslim brothers that, we pick one of you.
So you would.
So you could clearly know.
For Pukwajiman was for tokenism purposes. No. The fact that she was a woman.
Prof happened to be
from the central region.
Prof happened to be an accomplished academic, a vice chancellor of a top university of the country, who moved into politics and was a very successful minister for education. So by every means, we are talking about somebody who already has established herself. Then the icing on the cake happened to come from Central Region, happened to be a woman. So the consideration do must have what it takes first in order to be able to also command your own support base. Then, in addition, other things happen. I mean, regionalism is not a problem. All over the world, the issue about regionalism happened. And our own constitution allows for regionalism. It says there must be a regional balance as much as possible. So there's no problem with regionalism.
One thing which is clear is that at some point, your party realized that that expectation was wrong. Because for some time now, almost every comment that comes from your party's communicators, especially since you became General Secretary at least, we always hear you say the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. We always hear you refer to the Vice President. You know, we hear you say Alhaji Dr. Bawumia. We see these deliberate use of, first of all, his name whenever you mention the President's name. We hear you refer to him as Alhaji Bawumia. And of all of your comments about how things will go in 2024 are with the assumption that you'll be going up against him. So that must mean that at some point before he won the primaries for his party to become flag bearer, your party realized that it was going to be him.
Yeah, I mean, in politics, you always have to be prepared for any eventuality. After all, as I said earlier, as opposed to, for example, Alhaji Aliyu Mahama, it was pretty clear that in the scheme of things, was definitely not going to emerge. Why? Because, as I said, he was not exactly picked because he had any pedigree. He was picked simply to satisfy an ethnic and religious, should I call it, token. That really is what it was. And exactly what it is that we expected, that he was going to be damned, and he was truly damned. The Bawumia's choice was largely because Nana Akufo claimed he was an economic wizard. Claimed he was an economic wizard. And of course, I mean, when they came into office, I mean, initially on the back of the solid things they inherited, I mean, they started pretty well. But by 2019, things started to unravel. Sometimes they make it look as if it is because of COVID, but the truth is that if you check even 2019, you could see, for example, the depreciation in Sydney has started already, I mean, badly performing. Deficits, I mean, the budget deficit has already gone very high already. So problems started occurring already. So we clearly suspected that given how it is, it's likely that Bawumia could win. That you need to make preparation for. But of course, the Alan Fatah, as I explained earlier, was there. And knowing exactly the nature of the NPP, that is a factor you couldn't discount. I suspect that possibly one of the things that maybe went against Alan is the fact that he stayed too long in what you call a sinking ship. If he had been smart enough to get out of that ship very early, he obviously could have distanced himself from the mess that we have today. But having stayed that long, it made it pretty difficult for himself to be able to, as it were, show that he's not part of the mess that we see today. So I guess that really affected him. But whatever it is, in politics, you need to prepare. You prepare for eventuality. If it's Alan, we are ready. If it was Bawumia, we are ready. The reason why we had to call Bawumia is because he was the one in charge of the economic management team. He was the vice president. So if there was an economic problem, we needed to make sure the country knew that both Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia were in charge. So there was really no problem. But the bit on the religious dimension of it, and that is one that I think we need to, because you see, after the emergence of Bawumia, you could see all these many efforts that are being made to create a whole scenario of as if Ghana were in some kind of religious war in our country between Christians and Muslims. They've come up with stories like, oh, Fifi Kwetey actually said that no Muslim can ever become the president of the country. Oh, let me tell you. What we were talking about, and that statement was made way back in 2007, ahead of the contest of the NPP, that had to do with Aliyu Mahama. And I actually was making an analysis of that contest and said that Aliyu Mahama was purely picked for religious tokenism. That's all it was. Not because he had any pedigree. And he was going to be dumped. I stated that. And I said, listen, if you pick anyone on the back of religious tokenism, you make it difficult for the person to emerge. Why? Because if it's simply about religion, then the majority Christians will be voting against you if you stood as a Muslim. But if you stood because you have political pedigree, then you are winning not because of religion, but you are winning because you have what it takes. That was the point.
You say that because they would argue that their flag bearer, their candidate, is trying to be a uniting force. He constantly refers to his own upbringing as a child, before he became a Muslim, that he was a Christian. He had a Christian name. He goes to church. He preaches in churches. He knows Christian prayers. He demonstrates a certain affiliation to Christians, all in a bid to demonstrate that as a flag bearer, he can be representative of both of these major religious groups. So, are you sure that they are the ones bringing division on the lines of religion, or is it not, people who perhaps share your view?
No, if, for example, you go and make an appeal to your Muslim brothers, that they should vote for you because you are a Muslim. They should vote for you because you are a Muslim. What are you doing? I won't go to a church and say, vote for me because I'm a Christian. No.
But you
vote for
me. The voter region and say, vote for me because I'm Ewe.
I would tell voter people, vote for me because I'm Ewe. No,
you vote. Might go
there are so many Ewes who have stood and lost. So you cannot just go and say, vote for me because I'm an Ewe. Vote for me fundamentally because I have what it takes to be a leader. I've got integrity. I've got good ideas. I love the country. I'm a patriot. I will do what is right. I'm disciplined. Give the attribute. And then, in addition, I also happen to come from your area. So it should always be about the reason why you are a leader first. But if all you think about number one is that, I happen to belong to your sect, that's why you are voting for me, then why not? Let's rather go and choose an imam. Why should we choose you? Well, let's look for, if it's a Christian, let's choose a prophet or a pastor. But that's not what we are looking for. We are looking for somebody who can be trusted. You cannot be trusted, Baumia. You have no credibility. So mentioning that you are a Muslim or a Christian matters not. Because what matters is the quality of who you are. And you are proven to be somebody who has no credibility, somebody who absolutely lies. Why on earth would anybody want to take you serious?
In the 30 seconds before we take our next break, let me ask you this. You're a political strategist. Would you have had a tougher time as a party winning the next election if Kennedy Agyapong had been chosen as flag bearer for the MPP?
To be honest with you, Kennedy Agyapong clearly would have been able to say, I was not the reason why this whole mess has happened. And that could be an appeal. Because there is clear anger about the level of destruction that's happened to the economy, the suffering that is taking place. So he would have been able to do that. So naturally, he clearly could have been more difficult. Why? Because he's not so directly in the line of the supervision of the problem. So naturally, he could be able to have an advantage. But this one, every step of the way, is deep neck in the problem. So there's no way he can run away.
And, so you would have had a tougher time defeating Kennedy Agyapong?
I would just have said that he would have been a little more difficult to be able to pin the problems on. So naturally that gives him a room to be able to say, no, it's not me, therefore vote for me.
All right.
Well, as to exactly what will happen, that is difficult to...
Well, that's the next leg of our conversation with Fifi Kwetey. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about election 2024. For most people, it's going to be Mahama versus Baumia. How does that unfold for the General Secretary of the NDC? We'll find out after these. You're welcome back. And we're talking to Fifi Kwetey, the General Secretary of the NDC. And oh boy, it's been a fascinating conversation so far. Mr. Kwetey, let's talk about election 2024, the big battle. So, well, the lines are drawn. It looks like the NPP has chosen Dr. Bawumia. The NDC has chosen John Mahama. Now, of course, now the only variables remaining will be running mates. So we know how it works. You want to pick a running mate who will appeal to a large constituency of people. So strategically, how I know that in the end the decision will be made by your flag bearer. Sure. But that's why you are there, with your strategic experience. You will be advising him and directing him on how to make this decision. So which constituencies do you want to appeal to in order to put yourself in a better position than your opponents in 2024?
Originally, you want to win as many constituencies as possible. I'm not talking here about political constituencies. I'm talking more about demographics.
Yes.
So, for example, you want to win as many young people as possible because you can't win an election in Ghana unless you get a lot of the young people with you. You want to win as many women as possible because once you have the women on your side, trust me, you are home. So you want to make sure you are appealing to women. And naturally, you are appealing to women, you are appealing to the family. So that is always going to be the calculation. You want to make sure that across all regions you are competitive. But of course, some regions that are much more strategic. So for instance, if you know, when we had the original 10 regions of Ghana, we have 4 regions that were considered to be swing regions. And those regions will always remain so. And those original regions will be Greater Accra, Central Region, Western Region, meaning now Western and Western North, the Western Region, and Brongafo. Those were the 4 regions that were known as swing regions. And they continue to be what they are. So you want to make sure as much as possible you are competitive in those regions. Greater Accra is quite important because the numbers are there as well, and you need to do whatever you can. Central Region, you are not winning an election unless you have Central Region in the bag. You have Western Region, as much of that in the bag as well. You are doing very well in Brongafo. So clearly, those will be areas we are going to work. You also want to ensure that you are turning out your vote in your strongholds, meaning the places where naturally you are strong, you are getting the turnout to be massive. In fact, talking about turnout, you want to make sure there is as much turnout as possible. Because in opposition, the bigger the turnout, the better. Yeah. When in government, because of clear anger, disenchantment, disappointment, you often wish there's no turnout. Because when people are turning out in numbers, it means that you are on your way home. So in opposition, our job is to make sure that turnout is massive. People come out. They come out in their numbers to want to vote. You want to ensure you do whatever you can to hold down your opponent capacity to do what he can do in his strongholds. So Ashanti region, Eastern region, that traditionally have been the strongholds of your opponent. You want to make sure you try hard. You may not be able to win. You may not be able to make massive impact, but at least you want to hold. It's like coming to, let's say, I'm Chelsea to, let's say, Man City away. You want to make sure you limit the extent of the damage, hoping that you can bring him home and then win finally. Yeah. So effectively, that's what it does. So the choices running mates are going to factor all that into consideration. The capacity to first and foremost represent the vehicle properly, have the proper, should I call it, chemistry with the flag bearer, because that's very important calculation. And also individual who does not, some running mates sometimes tend to think that they actually are even more important than flag bearer. No, you are a running mate. Exactly. Play your position well. Do your job well. But beyond all that, the party is always the number one. The vehicle is always the party. Sometimes we tend to overplay the individuals much more than we play the vehicle. The vehicle is always number one. You always want to make sure that NDC continues to position itself as a solid vehicle. And so the track record of that party, down from Jerry Rawlings, through Prof. Mills, through John Mahama, that history has to be stated. The people of Ghana need to know that in terms of the development of this country, this vehicle has been very reliable. The resources that have been available to us and what we have delivered, even given those resources, MPP cannot measure by any means. This vehicle has also been very trustworthy. So these are things that we are going to bring onto the table. So we'll go for everything. We'll do everything we can. Yeah.
Putting together all the factors you've mentioned, And I seem to be painting a picture in my head of a youth-oriented person, hopefully from one of the swing states or affiliated to one or more of the swing states, swing regions. Somebody who might be a woman.
Why not? Nothing is off the table.
Yes, because that was the second constituency or demographic you mentioned. And somebody who you believe can play their position as a supporter. That points to very few people.
I know you're trying very hard to. That moment to come.
I know that if I am coming to this realization, then you came to it a long time ago. So walk us through the thought process. What are some of the interesting names that have been thrown up?
I think it'd be early. And again, don't forget, we always want to make sure as a party we go through the processes properly. And don't forget, we also have a history. And sometimes we tend to forget. But we never, for example, even come close to the choice of a running mate in the year before an election. Never. In fact, I think when Vice, then running mate John Mahama was named, I think that was almost in August of 2008, 4 months to an election. When what's the name? Prof. Nana Jane was named, I think that was in July again, so about 5 months to an election. So the history already shows that it's not something that is done even too early, because there are so many other processes that we need to put in place. Right. We've done the election of the flagbearer together with the parliamentary candidate. We've just almost recently finished the outstanding parliamentary candidate, and it's just for a couple of them that are left. We have processes to go through at the regional level. We started a national tour, of the flagbearer to be able to basically find out exactly. So all that is part of the conversation that will lead to the eventual one. So I would say we still have time. Okay. Let's not be in a hurry.
So I get it that you would rather not give me names. So let me ask perhaps an easier to answer question.
All right.
You can't tell me who is in line or who is being considered. But you can at least tell me whether Prof. Jane Opoku-Agyeman should be replaced from a strategic point of view.
No, it's still, if I answer that, then I'm indirectly answering the question that you're asking.
Really? Because there are still a number of people that might be.
If you do admit that, and I've spoken about her earlier, that she was somebody who was chosen because she's got pedigree, who already had established herself in academia, who became a minister, got herself established, who actually was running mate. And as far as we are concerned, the job she did as a running mate together with the flagbearer, the two of them performed very well. I would say that if you check exactly the results of 2020, even though we did not win, it was pretty clear that
did you get more women votes, for example, or more central region votes, or more votes from the intellectual class? Let's
say, for example, if you look at the seats we had in central region, I think as 2016, when we did the election, we came down to about 3 seats in central region. As we speak today, we have majority of seats from the region.
That's true.
So that itself shows already that a lot of good work has been done. And we believe a lot more can be done. Yeah, but parliament is always key. You can imagine, for example, but for the what happened that led to this current 137. If things were some amount of the shenanigans that took place, we should have had a clear majority in parliament, and that could have been a whole different ballgame as far as the country is concerned.
But you think the running mate contributed to that?
The truth is, you see, in politics, it's sometimes a bit unfair. Supposing we had 3 seats in parliament, and somehow at the end of that election it came down to 1 seat, would the running mate not be blamed? That you came from the region, yet the performance was so bad. Now, if we were able to get more seats in parliament, some of the running mate should not take the credit. Clearly, the running mate take the credit for what is plus.
Easier to simply, look at your presidential votes, how you did in the presidential race.
Even if you look at the presidential numbers, you could clearly see that there was an appreciation of vote across the country.
So you would say that she actually brought in more.
Naturally.
So should she be kept?
That decision will be taken by the flagbearer in consultation with the party leadership. So, as I said earlier, I would wait for that time. I don't think we should be in a hurry
to keep her.
Would it be what?
Good political strategy to keep her as running mate.
When the moment comes, I'm sure we'll be able to look at all the angles and be able to make a decision. Whatever decision we'll make will be one that we believe will be in the supreme interest of the party and also of the nation. So I'm sure when that moment comes, we'll definitely make that decision with the flagbearer leading. Yes.
What about an Ashanti running mate? The Ashanti region is your opponent's stronghold, but in the last election, you actually made some inroads.
Okay. Inroads in terms of parliamentary, we mean, or presidential? Which one?
Actually, I'm thinking presidential.
Okay.
So, is that something you're thinking about? Do you think perhaps?
I think all options remain on the table. The only place that for a fact there could be no option coming from will be the original northern region, where the flagbearer comes from. So indirectly, you cannot be picking anybody from that original region where you come from. But every other region, there is a possibility.
Doesn't that feed a little bit into your own, regional tokenism theory?
In what way?
You would have thought that you would not exclude a northern regional.
No, but don't forget the Constitution speaks about regional balance. Remember, the Constitution of Ghana speaks for regional balance,
even
not just in the
political,
not just basically in all things that we do.
Presidential,
for example, in the choices you make, for example, in ministerial appointment that you make,
yeah.
Even at the level of the party, you look at regional balance. It's just in America, you pick somebody from the north, he picks what's the name, a running mate from the south. It's nothing strange. So that regional calculation would always come into the picture. It's different from this religious tokenism that our friends are trying so hard to stoke. I'm a Muslim, therefore you must choose me. We don't want a leader because you're a Christian or Muslim. We want a leader because you have what it takes, and that should be number one consideration. Let every other thing be secondary. Your number one consideration: are you reliable? Can you be trusted? Do you have credibility? Do you tell the truth? Do you work hard? Do you love the country? Are you competent? Those are the considerations that we should be looking at. And then after that, every other thing becomes a nice icing on the cake. And that is the point the NDC makes. That's what we have constantly done. And every choice that we've made from 1992 to today has been made purely on the back of that consideration, first and foremost, that we are putting forward a candidate that stands tall on his own first before we look at any other consideration.
Now, your job is to pretty much run your political party on a day-to-day basis. It's that sort of CEO role, if you will, as General Secretary. Your opposite number, Justin Kodua, recently issued a statement that some 5 members, senior members of their party, have in effect sacked themselves. Okay. I think Nano Hininto, Yabwabing, someone, and Hupsina Doye, and 2 others. Okay. Because they have expressed support for Alan Chamantin, who is now seeking to run as an independent presidential candidate. Would your party, would you have handled this situation the same way?
I don't exactly know their constitution. I don't know what exactly their constitution is. But if it says that truly that is what their constitution says and they implement it, you cannot blame them. They're just applying their constitution. But of course, in politics, before you come to that, you want to have a conversation in order to know exactly the readiness of the individuals. Exactly what are you willing to do? Because in politics, you can support a candidate up to a point, like it happened in the NDC. When, for example, at the time, Mrs. Rawlings stood against Prof. Mills before it's morphed into full-blown situation. You have what you call FONCA, which are the group that we're supporting. But when eventually Mrs. Rawlings decided to move to a new party, the NDP, a lot of the FONCA people did not go. But those who decided to go, but that is actually a party formation. Now, in the case of Alan hasn't gone to form a party. He basically says it's a movement. He's an independent candidate. Now, the question then is, if you are supporting him,
At Sierra University, we've been empowering students to pursue their goals for over 130 years. From innovative degree programs and helpful tools to campus locations focused on creating community for international students, we can help you find your way forward. We even offer international students 25% off tuition on select degree programs. Visit strayer.edu to learn more. Eligibility rules, restrictions, and exclusions apply. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Shop Macy's Black Friday specials for amazing deals on gifts they'll love now while supplies last. Like 25% off Nike for him, her, and kids. 75% off fine jewelry. And 10 to 50% off select appliances from Black & Decker, Cuisinart, Instant Pot, and more. Plus, get it faster with store pickup. Now at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply. Please note that stores are closed Thanksgiving Day.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
And you are still a member of the NDC, of the MPP. How does that work? I mean, so naturally you expect that if you are still a member of the NDC, then you are of the MPP. I keep calling NDC because NDC is a top alternative in the country. So naturally I call the NDC. Now, so if you're a member of the MPP and you are supporting another person against the candidate that your party has chosen, then it becomes an issue of conflict. To be honest with you, I would have been expecting those individuals, if that truly is what it is they felt, they themselves should have effectively just walk away and say, listen, where we are at the moment, we are totally committed to Alan. So temporarily, we are off the party, and eventually, after the Alan thing, whatever happens, we can think about it. I thought that would have been a resolution. So what would I have done? We would have had that conversation first. Right. But of course, if the people are adamant that we want to, you cannot eat your cake and have it, can you? So you cannot be supporting one candidate who are belonging to another party. So that's something I cannot allow them room to do what they've got to do. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. Thanks for spending your time with us. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank all your many viewers.
Every day, people have money emergencies. I need my school fees emergency.
Mommy,
chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile. Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smile small? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see It's Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
But it's father, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntax was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntax again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntax gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntax is the answer. Syntax tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Calling all Odadiers, students and well-wishers. Join us for an unforgettable day as Presec marks its 85th anniversary with a grand speech and prize-giving day hosted by the Odadier 98-year group under the theme Building Upon a Legacy of Excellence, Developing Holistic Values-Driven Change Agents. Chaired by Mr. James Boateng, 2018 National Best Farmer and Odadier 78. The event starts at 10 a.m. on the 25th of November 2023 at the newly built ceremonial grounds. Speakers for the day will include Dr. Delali Fiagbe, Head of Psychiatry at UGMS, and Mr. Kwabena Asantipoku, Country Director of British International Investment, both proud Odadier 98. Our guest of honor is Dr. Yao Osei-Duchu, Minister of Education, with Dr. Ofori Sapo and Right Reverend Professor Joseph Obri Yabuamante gracing the event as special guests. Mark your calendars, 25th November at the Presec Ceremonial Grounds. Oh, come along and join us as we celebrate 85 years of excellence. Brought to you by the Odadier 98, Illuminator with the Bimos Lumen.
It's incredible! Bang on target!
And thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. This is The Pulse. And guess what? Starting Sunday, the 6th edition of the Volta Fair will get underway in grand style. It will be under the theme leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area for economic development. Well, they've lined up, celebrities of the land to help attract patronage from across the country and beyond, to also seek some more attendance of, the likes of the Yakubu Mafia of Asogli State, Obiapeda himself, the 14th, who will be there, the regional minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, who's using, their good offices and influence to try and attract more investment into the Volta region. Well, in studio with us now is Fred Avonyo, a former business editor here at Joy News, and he's also a son of the land as well. So many names, and I need to point out that I'm a product myself, so it's good to be talking to Fred. You can see Volta Fair 2023. That's what we're talking about. But for many who are not aware of why we need to talk Volta, let's talk about the previous years and the kind of experience that we had.
Very well. So the Volta region, it's one beautiful part of Ghana.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I mean, no doubt.
It's one beautiful part of Ghana that has not been explored sufficiently. People hear about the region, they have no idea how it looks like, how it feels like. Okay, and we realize that, look, the investment potential is huge across all sectors, be it agriculture, tourism, education, and all of that. So it was decided that, look, there's a need to project the potential of the region for the rest of the world to know, so that we can attract the right set of investment, develop the whole area, and increase the national economy. Because whatever happens to that part of the country affects the entire country. So that was the reason that birthed the
whole idea.
The whole idea.
And that's why I was talking about it, that this is not the first of its kind. We've done this for how many years now?
This is actually going to be the 6th edition. But from 2019, that's where we saw a lot of stability and we saw a lot of patronage, and it's been going up from that time. So 2019 was good. 2021, which was the last edition, was superb. We do it every other year. Okay, so it was fantastic 2 years ago, and this year it promises to be even be bigger.
Greater. And the sharp focus on the African Continental Free Trade Area is that interesting bit for me. One would say, well, this is the Volta region, just a part or a fraction of Ghana. Why should these people be concerned about the free trade area?
I think regional trade is the way now. And that's how come Ghana is playing host to the Secretariat.
Right.
And so we cannot be left out. We are thinking of increasing trade within ourselves as a continent. And so if we are going to have a fair, we cannot just look within Ghana. We definitely must tag along, what the continent is thinking of. And besides that, when we had the last fair, 2021, there were interest expressed by other African countries, thanks to the power of social media. They got to know what was happening.
Just to be a part of the fair.
They wanted to be part of it. So we had that initial interest, and then we opened it up. And so we have exhibitors coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, from Namibia, from Kenya, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, and other African countries coming in. And that's how come this year it is themed on after.
Wow. So Volta going global, I guess.
Exactly.
I guess that's what we're doing. But what does the region have to offer? I guess that's the question on the table now.
A lot. Now, so everybody will tell anybody who knows Volta region, and actually it's been coined as a phrase that Volta region is a microcosm of Ghana.
Right.
In that whatever you find in any part of Ghana, you will find
in the Volta region.
And that's how we say that when you visit Volta, you experience Ghana. We have water bodies of different. We have the sea, and the sea provides economic activity. We have the Volta River, we have the Volta Lake, and that's a lot of fish farming potential that we have there.
And the historical significance
of course is also there. Yes. Then we have the arable land. Look, rice farming in the Volta region, the rice is the best. And there's still more land that can be cultivated for rice. We have shallots, we have vegetables of all kinds, and then we have the cash crops. There is cocoa in the Volta region. There is coffee.
Which many do not know about.
Exactly. There is coconut. All of that happening in the Volta region. In fact, some of the best coffees are made from the Volta region. There's the Kamawoka, there is the Avitutui. They are from the Volta region. There is cotton. So the land is there for us to cultivate tree crops, cultivate food stuff that we need and all of that. And then there's enough land for us to do manufacturing as well. Some of the manufacturing companies have started relocating to the place. There's wine made in the Volta region. And then real estate is also coming up. There's a golf course in the Volta region now.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And a lot of beautiful resorts are coming up by the waterfront, both the riverside and then the seaside.
Okay. If it would take maybe someone to discover what's happening, this is why the Volta Fair, I believe, is being organized. But it must follow in some series, and I believe you have a lineup of the events that will, chronicle where you need to start experiencing the region from and how it will end. So what are some of the activities we're to expect in terms of where we're starting off from, the exciting activities, and when it will all end?
There's actually a lot. It's going to be a 2 weeks packed festival of business, of networking, and of tourism and culture and all of that. So the fair starts from Sunday, the 26th of this month. That's the when it will start. The actual opening is going to be on the 28th. And we have a number of ambassadors, and we have the youngest minister from the continent coming.
Okay.
Yes, from Namibia. She's going to be in attendance. And we have other dignitaries coming for the opening. Now, for the very first time in the entire 66-year history of the Association of Ghana Industries, they're going to hold their AGM in the Volta region. National AGM. It's happening
as part of the Volta.
As part of, yes, Volta. That is on the 29th. Right. It's happening. So the business community throughout the country is going to be in Ho. Then we've lined up, apart from the fair itself that is happening every day from the 26th to the 10th of December, we have a number of seminars happening. Now, top of the mind, we have the Women Entrepreneurs Summit. We're bringing all the business women that matter to come and share ideas. We have the Youth or the Young Entrepreneurs Summit. We We have the Sports Development Summit. Now we have a workshop on horticulture and export opportunities within that space. We're going to have something on climate change as well. Now this year, the Farmers' Day, the regional Farmers' Day, will be held in Ho as part of the fair. We're also going to have we're going to have beer festival on 2 of the weekends, and this beer festival is not limited to our usual beer that we know, but the indigenous ones. So the Solom, the
locally brewed ones,
those ones will be there. Okay, then there's going to be Kente Festival as well. Now, Volta region is home of Kente, quality Kente. Now, if you go south, there is Agbozume.
Yes.
That's how come we have the Agbozume Weavers, the name of the football team. They do a good Kente there. If you come to the middle, there's Agotime Kwetey, wonderful Kente. And up north, Tafi, they do Kente as well. All these guys will be there to display different designs for us to see. So all of that is going to happen. We even have some program for our media folks.
Okay.
So there's going
so the media is not left out
at all. There's going to be a master class workshop for journalists on the African Free Trade area, as well as the climate change. So almost everybody is going to benefit from this. Is going to be a lot of idea sharing, and we also have what we call district days. So each of the 18 districts in the Volta region will have an opportunity to market their district to investors, to business people, to tell them what they have in their district, what are the investment opportunities, what are the businesses, what are the communities doing very well there. So it's a whole package. And taking from what happened with the previous event, we are very hopeful that a lot of businesses will grow as a result of this. We got new exporters from the old one. Yeah. People are now exporting to other African countries by participating in the previous event. And we know that new people will also get opportunity to become exporters after this, particularly because you're going to get a lot of visitors coming from other African countries.
This is exciting. But let's talk about also, cultural events and social engagements that will be happening as part of this. We don't want the all long and boring talks as the youth will describe it. What's exciting in terms of music, culture, and the jubilation?
So during the daytime, the district days are always accompanied by cultural displays. Mm-hmm. All the traditional drumming and dancing will go on during the day. We have the food court where there's food and drinks. That is the most liveliest place 24/7.
That's the best place ever.
I tell you, that place is party time all through.
Right.
Then each evening has an entertainment program. So we have musical concerts. Now, the beauty of the musical concerts that we have is that we use that as an opportunity to unearth talents. Yeah. So the guys that we don't know, we give them the platform to perform and get to be known.
Yeah.
And so each night there's an entertainment running through till midnight. And then we're going to have a fashion show as well. And then we will have a Miss Volta Fair also taking place. So every night there's going to be an activity right from Monday through to the last Sunday, the 10th of December.
And just as I was pointing earlier, some notable individuals will be there. The Agbogumafia Togiapeda, the 14th.
Yes.
Will be there.
Yes.
And then there's the regional minister. There are other celebrities you're expecting as well?
Yes, the various paramount chiefs will be there.
Okay.
Yes, there are different events that they will chair.
Okay.
And on the district days, what happens is that they accompany the DCs to the event.
To the center.
So it's a beautiful scene.
Right.
All dressed up in their full regalia, following the MC or DCE to the event. So they're all going to be represented. Then we have the various ambassadors. So the American ambassador to Ghana has promised to be there. The Dutch ambassador. As for the ambassadors from the continent, the Kenyan, the Nigerian, the Togolese, they're always there. The Namibian, they're all going to be there as well. And of course, we're expecting some ministers of states also to be present. Because it's a 2-week affair and there are different events, each of these seminars will attract personalities coming in. We're going to have very successful business people also coming in to share their ideas, try to groom the younger ones to take up after them and all of that. So it's going to be business, it's going to be fun, it's going to be networking. It's a whole festival. And you cannot afford to miss that opportunity. And remember, this is Ho, the oxygen city of the country.
Very peaceful.
Very peaceful. The air there is different. The topography alone will make you feel like, oh my goodness. And we have planned tours for the 2 weekends. We'll do a tour around. We'll go to Amijofe. We'll do the canopy walk. Now, that is the best canopy walk you can experience because you're going through the canopy and you see the waterfall, the Oti waterfall, dropping on you. And it's so beautiful. It's such an experience. You don't want to miss it. So let's all be in Ho.
How about SMEs? Because we're talking about continental free trade area. Definitely, businesses should be in mind. Are you giving opportunities for these smallholder enterprises to display to possibly sell what they have?
Yes. So yes, that's place for. So actually, we've categorized the stand such that even the very small businesses will have the opportunity, and they've always been there in their numbers. So the small businesses will be there, the medium and the large, they're all going to be there. And in particular, let me just mention that we've always had a very good representation from the Tong area. Now, because of this flood situation, they've been badly affected.
Yes.
But we've waived the fees for all the
those coming
exhibitors.
From that part.
Yes. We are working together with the various assemblies there, and we've waived the fees for them. So they're all going to come without have to pay for stands, as a contribution.
It's a very challenging time.
Exactly. So they're going to be there, and it's going to be lovely.
Right. All in all, what will be the message to our viewers and those who are outside the region who want to experience Volta?
I think it's the right time to just take a break and come and spend some good 2 weeks in the Volta region for a change of weather, beautiful weather, good food, lovely people. Business opportunities. I want people to come there and identify business opportunities such that they will go back again, because they'll have a business interest there. So let's all move there. It started from Sunday, the 26th of November, all the way to the 10th of December. And it's happening at the whole Jubilee Park. Very easy to access, and it's going to be great. And I expect to see you there.
Yeah, indeed, I should be there. And
MFI is going to be there. Mama V is going to be there.
The whole team affair.
Very wonderful friends.
Even the point about, and that's what I was going to ask you about, accommodation arrangements for people who are not traditionally from the region. Staying there for 2 weeks would involve a lot. You'd have to do some movement. You'd have to stay somewhere. Do you have that in mind as well?
So actually, on our website, www.voltafair.org, we have a link where you can see a number of hotel facilities, that you can access. And beyond that, we've also spoken to the tertiary institutions. Fortunately for us, some of them will not be in full capacity. So their hostels are also available for those who would want those places. And there are other provisions. We've also spoken to the town folk. Some are willing to share rooms, to give them that homely feel as well.
Oh, so you can experience like a family.
A family. So all that is there. So yes, we're encouraging everybody to make the time to be with us and experience Volta and enjoy Ghana from that.
And I guess there's going to be a musical concert too.
Yes, there's going to be a musical concert. As I said, to unearth the fresh talent, and of course we have the big players also coming in. A lot of things we are keeping as secret. We don't want to jam up the place.
It'll be a surprise.
Yes. I don't know. Our brand ambassador. One of our brand ambassadors is Adam, right?
Oh, so Adam is going to be there.
No, I'm not saying he's going to be there. I'm not going to take anything out. But I'm just saying that
be there. Everyone.
It's one of our brand ambassadors. And the link that he has in the industry. If he decides to pull everybody there, it's going to be massive. But it's going to be a great show.
Well, passionate about Volta, you need to be at the Volta Fair 2023. Just make your way to the Volta region. Once again, let's remind our viewers of the date.
Sunday 26th of November to the 10th of December. Each day, the exhibition is going to be going on. And of course, we'll have the seminars also running alongside. So if you go to our website, you see all the lineup, you get all the information there, you get the numbers to call, and make sure you are there to enjoy the beauty of hope.
And of course, if you want more information, just reach out to Fred or just come over here to join you. There are lots of us here. Actually, yes, you feel free.
So you can call 0244 636097. 0244 636097. And whatever information you want, we're ready to provide that for you. And I tell you, you will love it in Hope.
Yeah, I can personally guarantee that. So you need to be there at the Volta Fair 2023. Lots of fun, business opportunities for you. Just be there, starting the 26th.
26th, yeah. That's Sunday.
You need to be there. A lot of us will be there. Mama V will be there. MFR will be there. In fact, we're possibly looking at moving everyone.
You should.
To also be a part of the
you should do the shows in home.
Yeah, so that you experience home for yourself.
I tell you.
Yeah.
And we have a very huge following there. Very huge.
Very. Indeed, there's more to come your way, and so you should join us for the Volta Fair. Fred, grateful one more time for joining.
Thank you very much. I didn't tell them that you were booked. So there's
that's something we have in common as well.
So
we are products of the region. You need to just join us. Just join us. You'd love Volta region, and of course, I can personally testify to that. So yes, be at the Volta Fair 2023, and indeed, we'll be happy to receive you in the Volta region. But now let's talk, a bit of politics, because Majority Leader H.M. Sabonso is refuting claims he's actively campaigning to be selected as running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ahead of the 2024 elections. The Swami MP says that the NDC MPs, as part of their debate on the budget, have sought to pitch him against some of his colleagues. This comes on the back of the Minority Chief Whip's Kwame Gavins Abuja, who's also from the Volta region, claiming on the floor that Ayaso West Wugon MP Leader Al Hassan did not vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the NPP presidential primaries. An allegation the majority and Deputy Whip will not take kindly to. So just listen to the exchange on the floor of the House earlier today.
Over 40% of you rejected him, yet you want him to be the one. You did not vote for him. So sit down. You can talk. You cannot talk. You sit down. Mr. Speaker, let's go to that.
Please, Majority Leader is on his feet. Yes, please. Mr. Speaker, I don't know why my colleagues, anytime they get up, they want to really link me up with something, running mate, whatever. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, my colleague, the former Minority Leader, was saying that I'm concentrating on my running mate campaign. Mr. Speaker, let me state it here clearly that there is no contest for the position of a running mate. I'm not involved in campaigning for running mate position. Mr. Speaker, it should be loud and clear. It should be loud and clear. And my colleague should also not involve himself in conjectures. He says, I probably voted for the vice president of my constituency. What has that got to do with the budget? Mr. Speaker.
Objection to what Honorable just did. It is an attack on me, and I want him to withdraw that now. I am serious about this. You cannot do this to me on the floor of the House. I take serious objection to that. And you cannot start the campaign here on the floor of the House. It is serious, and I want you to withdraw it now.
Here, the result of the presidential primaries from Ayawaso West Wugon.
Honorable Majority Leader, you haven't answered my question.
Yes, I'm going to answer the question. I said, Honorable Dr. Bawumia got 444 votes in the constituency. Honorable Ken Ejepon got 531 votes from the constituency. Statistically, he is one of those people who didn't vote for Dr. Bawumia. That is, I said.
The heated exchanges there between the Minority Chief Whip, Kwame Gavins Abuja, and also Majority Leader H.M. Sabonso, and the Deputy Majority Whip, Lydia Al Hassan. But the minority in Parliament is also challenging claims by Chairperson of the Roads and Transport Committee, Kennedy Osei-Nyako, that President Akufo-Addo's government has made the biggest investment in the road sector. Debating the budget in Parliament, Majority Chief Whip and former ranking member on the Roads Committee described the claims as lies. He has also been accusing the government of causing financial loss to the state in the road sector.
The majority leader has served this country for a very long time. In this house, I was one of those people who stood and supported the bill to pass an agreement for a loan agreement to build a Swami interchange. And we caution that once we do this, the government will do the needful. Mr. Speaker, the fact remains, as we speak, there's evidence of demonstrations against a very senior, in fact, you are the only person senior to him in this house. In his constituency, as we speak, the Swami interchange project is not going on. Is it true or not? And Pakadan Railway, simply because they want to build a bridge over the water. But Mr. Speaker, what they have basically done is to turn the alignment of the railway to nowhere. The railway has been complete, have been at 98% complete for a long period. In fact, when a project is 98% complete, it's substantially completed to be handed over. Mr. Speaker, do you know why they cannot take it over? Because when you take the goods to Mpakadan, you can't do anything with it. If we're going to Akosombo, we can put them on the badge. So you have actually caused financial loss to the state. This is a summary of disaster. Nobody in Ghana wants to wake up thinking that he'll get a fourth haircut. Nobody wants to be in this country to feel that he would wake up and be told that you cannot. But lastly, Mr. Speaker, let me ask you this. Can you remember these things? I shall protect the public purse. I am too old to steal your money. Yet the council, come here. Try me and see. I am not a corrupt person. We don't need to tow we don't need to take loans. We can just tow the zero sections of the road and get money to build our roads. I will transform Ghana in 18 months. I will not operate family and friends government. I will make Kole Lagoon and Adon River tourist sites. I will give each constituency $5 million a year. I will arrest the dollar. The hike in fuel prices will be a thing of the past. I will make Accra the cleanest city in Africa. I will build 101 district hospitals in 18 months. I will build 350 new secondary schools. I will never go to IMF. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question.
Interesting thoughts there. Our main man in Parliament, Kweku Asante, is joining us now. He sat through all of these heated exchanges. And Kweku, the Lands Minister, used the time also to clarify some issues. The claims by the Parliamentary Service Office that the clerk to Parliament's official residence has also been sold under this government. What more do we know?
Following that claim by the Speaker of Parliament that there was an attempt to sell off his official residence, the Lands Ministry put out a statement saying they were going to investigate. There was a follow-up statement by the Parliamentary Service claiming that the official residence of the clerk to Parliament was almost sold and actually has now been sold in 2019. He used opportunity today, the Lands Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, to actually say that that was not true and that, yes, the property belonging to Parliament, which is used to house the clerk to Parliament, was indeed sold, but in 2015 and not in 2019 under an NPP government. Let's listen.
UNESCO land, Mr. Speaker, UNESCO land is not being sold. UNESCO is in possession. And Mr. Speaker, as I said, that in many cases, Mr. Speaker, when they make the claim that a particular land is being sold under a particular administration, when you go into the records and you make the inquiry, you find the contract. Mr. Speaker, I'll give an example. Not too long ago, it was said that the accommodation or residence of the Clerk of Parliament was sold in 2019. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit to this House, a House of record, and I want Hansa to capture it, that my checks at the Lands Commission suggest that the Clerk of Parliament's accommodation or residence was sold in 2015 and not 2019. you hear, Mr. Speaker, the then Minister for Works and Housing gave an offer to a private developer in 2015. A lease was granted to the developer in 2015. These records are unimpeachable. It happened in 2015 and not 2019. It just so happened that the developer, having bought the land in 2015, having been given an offer letter in 2015, having been granted a lease in 2015, took possession in 2019. So by all intents and purposes, Mr. Speaker, the land was sold in 2015 and not 2019.
And let's talk about the health sector, I should be saying now, knowing so well that, of course, that also featured prominently today. The chairperson of the Health Committee talking about Agenda 111. This has been the President's promise to build a hospital facility in districts where there are none.
Well, yes, Dr. Nana, you were free today on the floor, conceded that no government can build 111 hospitals in 4 years. And in fact, the question one would ask is, if that was so, why did the President make the promise to build it before the end of the tenure? He now admits that that promise cannot be met and that Ghanaians should not expect that all Agenda 111 hospitals will be completed by the end of 2024. He, however, says the projects that are at various stages of completion across the country will provide more than 6,000 jobs when they are completed. He provided certain updates on various facilities across the country, talking about the Chiamansa one, which he says is more than 60%, and a number of facilities that are being constructed across the country, which he claims are at various stages of completion, almost all of them more than 60% in his own words. And the expectation is that by the end of 2024, those ones that will be ready will be commissioned by the President. But he admits today that they cannot complete all the 111 as they promised by the end of 2024.
Kweku Asante, parliamentary correspondent, giving us the latest because it's been a busy day in the House with the parliamentary caucus from the minority side, also indicating further that President Akufo-Addo must immediately cost the withdrawal of a regulation seeking to restrict a number of items. The importation, when it comes to rice, fruit juice, margarine, cement, and also fish. We have sugar in there and some 16 other strategic products. The Trade Minister, who is pushing this very regulation, hopes it will help the CD appreciate and grow local industries. Per the regulation, any person seeking to import the selected items and products will require permission from the Trades Minister. Addressing journalists, the minority leadership described the regulation as a bad policy which must be withdrawn immediately.
Going forward, if you want to import rice, sugar, diapers, poultry, and a number of items, approximately 22 selected items, you will need to go to the Ministry of Trade and Industry and to see a committee that will be constituted by the minister before a permit will be given to you. This, I think, is a dangerous practice. It has happened before in this country. And you recall that in 1967, a commission of inquiry was established. Justice Olenu's committee was established. And that committee was to identify the corruption and malpractices relating to import licenses. The report was clear that that practice is outmoded and it cannot be continued because people use it for the purposes of rent seeking. This government is taking us back to 1967 once again, President Akufo-Addo. I'm worried that a time will come, if you are not an MPP member, you will not even get a license to import something to this economy. That is unacceptable. Ghana is a member of the World Trade Organization. This practice, the World Trade Organization frowns upon it, and it's a clear violation of the practices of world trade and international trade, and it should not happen. We are urging His Excellency the President to have a rethink, because this is not a policy that we should encourage, and they have to withdraw it. In fact, We in the NDC will criticize it and we'll do whatever it takes. The only problem we have is that the Constitution places a limitation on us because it is an ally, and it will mean that it can be laid without us having any major input.
Well, as Black Friday, the shopping bonanza approaches, ensuring your safety amidst the frenzy of the deals and the discounts becomes paramount. We'll tell you how to shop smart and also stay secure during this highly anticipated retail rush. We have more for you in this package.
In today's interconnected world, accessing goods and services is just a click away. As we approach this year's end, the online shopping spree is on, and folks everywhere are scouting the web for those irresistible deals. Major retailers are dropping prices by up to 50% on various items, making it the perfect time to snag some steals. But in the midst of this shopping frenzy, scammers are also out in full force. You spot a great deal online, make the purchase, pay, but the package never arrives. This could mean you've fallen for one of the common scamming schemes.
So she paid and she never had or got the item, and the person changed the handle. You couldn't find the person.
Ruth's sister was a victim.
To the vendor, she was like, you pay before you deliver. My sister was like, oh, okay, no problem. So she paid and she never had or got the item, and the person changed.
The Louisiana Swamplands. Out here, you're either lunch or you're enjoying it. Make sure you end up on top with the all-powerful lineup of Kia SUVs, like the Telluride, Sportage, and Sorento, equipped with available all-wheel drive, higher ground clearance, and the interior capacity to bring everything you need, so you'll always remain more than a gator's length ahead. Visit your local Kia dealer today to find your next adventure in our ever-capable lineup of SUVs. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-3334-KIA for details. Always drive safely.
Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
The handle, you couldn't find the person, the contact wasn't going through, everything, full scam.
Others pay for something online and end up receiving either a counterfeit version or an entirely different item altogether. Kweku knows this all too well.
When it came, the sizes wasn't the actual sizes I ordered. Because online was you, if you don't make your ID, it was you. A bit child scam, So, if you not be somebody I know, say make a risk, then buy from someone I don't know there. But so that one, gets me. Charlie, I be guy man, you want guy man.
Others would rather order products from international partners than order them locally for fear of being scammed.
It was okay. I think my first time was AliExpress. Maybe for Ghana, I've not tried Ghana online something before, but what I did was an international something. So it was okay. Yeah. The tracking was only, I think, safety something. I'll bet me. I can say, maybe I'll go.
From January to October alone, more than 300 cases of online fraud involving almost 1 million Ghana cedis have been reported to the Cybersecurity Authority. With Black Friday starting November 24, these are expected to go up.
So if you look at last year, around the end of October, we had around 159 cases of online fraud. But this year, we had 320. Which is practically a double of that number.
Stephen Kujo is an officer with the Cybersecurity Authority. He elaborates on the common schemes used by fraudsters.
Very common one is the bit about seeing an advertisement of an online shop or a supposed online shop on the platforms like Instagram or Facebook. And typically when you engage, they'll tell you, okay, this product that you want to buy costs so and so. Please send the payment to a certain Momo number. The payment is done. and then the delivery never happens. Another approach that has come up in the last few months, where some of these scammers would pick out a brand, a known brand that people are already engaging with, a food joint or something of the sort, then they'll go create a Google map entry as if it's there, as if that location is there, to attach contact numbers, and essentially what then they do is they'll boost that contact so that it looks like it's legitimate.
Stephen explained how to stay safe while you surf the internet for the best deals.
A typical consumer, the precaution there is don't just take that advertisement you see at face value. You need to check whether it's a genuine business. One way to do this is to check whether they actually have a physical store, a physical office at least, where you could be able to engage them, assuming whatever you bought, you have an issue and need to return it. The other thing we also recommend is in doing such purchases, you would want to insist on payment after delivery. So don't just pay off and hope they'll bring it. Make sure you are able to insist on only paying when you have received whatever you're ordering and had a chance to inspect it.
As you hunt for the best deals and browse online, remember to prioritize safety and verify the authenticity of offers. Happy shopping. For Joy News, Caleb Ziblim and Ethan Lai.
And you're still watching the Pulse here on Joy News channel. We're taking a break. We're also looking forward to the grand opening of this year's Joy News EcoBank Habitat Fair. We'll be crossing you over shortly to the Accra International Conference Center, where, of course, there will be the opening of the fair that will give you the opportunity to a number of matters relating to housing, and perhaps for those of you who want to rent as well, there's an opportunity for you